Hello everyone, I'm Charlie Danis of Capital Athletics, and joining me now is the sophomore free safety, Joe Rodriguez. Joe, thanks so much for taking some time to chat with us. So, how were you introduced to football?
Growing up, I've had 3 older brothers that really just not enforced it on me, but just pushed it to me. And growing up watching them play football, it's always been my goal, and just they kind of like showed me like the dream of football and what I wanted to do, and just ever since that, my brothers really inspired me to play football.
How did you settle on the position of safety?
Actually, it's funny because freshman year of high school and growing up in Optimist, Pop Warner football, I've played running back. So not too much defense, but I was playing running back on the offensive side of the ball. And then freshman year came along, played running back, but I didn't feel like I wanted to be on the defense side of the ball, hit some heads. So safety came on me my sophomore year. Defensive coordinator at Christopher Columbus High School pulled me aside and said, "Hey, you know what? I want you to play safety." And honestly, it was probably the greatest transition because I wouldn't take it back.
You're a Miami guy.
Yep.
You grew up down there in South Florida. Tell me, how competitive is high school football down there in the state of Florida?
Oh yeah. They say, a recruiter goes down to South Florida to get speed. And South Florida, the talent, it's like no other.
So, Joe, a couple of interesting things have happened this year. First of all, new lights at Bernlohr Stadium. We just saw that 34-31 win over Muskingum this past weekend, and also a new tradition before games. So before we get to the game against Muskingum, I want to talk about the walk. How did that tradition come about, and how do you like it so far?
Honestly, Coach Kennedy just brought it up one day. He said, "Hey, look, I think we're going to start a walk starting from the fountains, leading to the Cap Center." And honestly, it feels like it can be a great tradition. It can lead to something very successful, and it'll be interesting for the program. And honestly, walking down and seeing fans, and especially that my parents came down from South Florida for the Muskingum game, looking in the crowd, it's kind of warm. It makes you feel like, wow, it's something special. Instead of just going to the locker room before a game, sitting down, getting ready, and going out to the field, you feel like you have a fan base now. It feels nice.
You mentioned that your parents were at the game. Your parents were also at the game last year when you guys opened up against Wilmington. And boy, I remember that 93-yard interception return that you had against the Quakers. That had to be a huge thrill for your parents.
Oh yeah. I mean, to do it in front of them, honestly, I couldn't believe it. And it's scary because I actually told Candido after the game, I said, "Coach, I had a dream. I literally had a dream that I was going to have an interception, a long interception for a touchdown." And sure enough, I did it in front of my parents, and it was a great play.
Yeah, it's great when dreams come true.
Yeah,
right?
it does.
So let's flash forward here. The game against Muskingum. What an atmosphere. You have over 3,000 people show up. It's the first night game at Bernlohr Stadium. You guys were in a back-and-forth affair with the Muskies. You ultimately come out with the win. And I saw 2 things that I rarely got to see last year from you guys. You got to sing the fight song after a victory, and you got to ring the victory bell. I mean, that had to be really cool.
It was. I mean, it was a great atmosphere. Last year in Muskingum, it was a tough one. We lost, but it's probably a very physical game that we went into, and I felt like we responded, and that's what we need to do. When stuff is at stake and someone's in our house and it's a first night game, we had to come out with the victory, and we did. And ringing that victory bell is a great thing.
We're talking with sophomore free safety Joe Rodriguez here on athletics.capital.edu. Something that changed on defense this year. Jimmy Curtis, the guy who used to play next to you at the strong safety spot, he moved down. He's now in that starter position, working at that linebacker spot. Enter a former high school teammate of yours, J.R. Garrigo. He's been filling in at strong safety, and boy, he's a good player. Can you talk about how he came here to Capital?
Yeah. First, I just want to say J.R. comes from a great family. He's a great person, and he's a great player. Honestly, I was talking to J.R. all throughout his recruiting process and saying, "Hey, were you going to play football in college? What do you think about? What schools are you looking at?" He said, "I don't really know." So that's when I came up. I said, J.R. will be a great player to have. So I talked to Coach Hood, talked to Coach Candido, and told him, I said, "Look, man, we need him." He came up on your visit. He stayed with me. He loved it, and playing with him in high school it was a threat. Teams did not want to throw it to us because me and him at safety was, and I was like a hybrid. I was probably what like Jimmy Curtis is now, like a star position in high school. So us two in the backfield is a great thing.
The Miami connection. I look forward to calling those games the next 3 years with you guys back there in the secondary. Speaking of the secondary, it's weird to say this, but as a sophomore, you're kind of the veteran leader back there. A lot of young guys in the secondary, not only JR as a freshman, but also at the cornerback positions as well.
Right.
Talk to me about the progress that the secondary has made so
Right.
far this year.
Oh yeah, I mean tremendous. Compared to last year, I mean Eric Strosky, sophomore as well, who played a lot last year, and freshman Jordan Duncan who stepped in. I mean I can just keep going. JT Thomas from Michigan. We got great athletes now at corner, and I feel like we can really turn things around in the secondary. But not only that, the secondary is a defense, and I mean it's going to look the sky's the limit really for these upcoming years with us.
So now you get Mount Union. You have to go on the road to take on Mount. This is a team that has yet to surrender a single point to an opponent this year. I would imagine, kind of like the Wittenberg game, it'll be a learning experience. It will give you a chance to, try to hang in there with one of the top dogs in the Division III football. What has Coach Candido and his coaching staff stressed to you as you get ready for another game with the Purple Raiders?
Coach Candido always has to say, he doesn't want to really focus on what they have to do. He wants to focus on what we have to do. And really focusing on what we have to do is really going to make us better. Every day, take every practice, practice like it's your last practice. Give everything you got. Don't loaf, don't do anything, And honestly, I think I honestly look forward to these games. These are the games I love playing. I'd rather play these games than someone, than someone that's not as good as Mount Union. I feel like my ability will go up to their standard, and I'll play better if I play against Mount Union.
So you look forward to the challenge?
Oh yeah, I love it. Mount Union, John Carroll, those powerhouse Division III teams, I love it.
So, last question, Joe. Before we always like to end these interviews getting to know you as a student athlete. So I have to ask you, what's your major? What do you plan on doing after football?
My major right now is exercise science, pre-physical therapy, and hopefully after I graduate, I can find a physical therapy job, occupational therapy, and it's what I've always wanted to do ever since I've had shoulder surgery and I've gone through the rehab. I was inspired, like, wow, this seems interesting.
You were once helped by a physical therapist. Now you want to be able to help other people.
Right.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Joe, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Sophomore free safety Joe Rodriguez joining us here on athletics.capital.edu. For Capital Athletics, I'm Charlie Danis. We'll see you next time.